does Lenny also stand for hope for the country?
Oh, that is the very reason why, let's say, I fight for Lenny. Again, I'm not fighting for Lenny, the person. I am never a Lenny loyalist. I will never be a Lenny loyalist. I will never be a Kakam Pinks forever. I am fighting for Lenny because she embraced the values that I value. Meaning, if Lenny fails to be honest, I will not be for Lenny. If Lenny becomes corrupt, I will criticize Lenny. And I believe that she knows that too.
Hi, welcome to Life Expressions. I'm Chari Hinete Elon. It's election season in the Philippines and people come out with their choices, whether they're in the country or out of the country. But Pinoys will always be Pinoys, and we will make sure to exercise our right to vote, me including. With all the noise in the social media about different choices, different candidates, one has struck me because of his strong stand and indomitable spirit for his candidate, his chosen candidate. And he is my guest today. He is a former assistant professor of philosophy for 10 plus years in University of St. LaSalle with subjects of interest, political philosophy, ethics, logic, among others. I must say he's one of my favorite teachers when I was in University of St. LaSalle. He is a Master of Philosophy with highest honors in DLSU, De La Salle University. He moved to the US before finishing law school, presently residing in the US East Coast, the state of Connecticut, New England region, which is historic among the first colonies to join the revolution. Now he works as sales account leader for Frito-Lay. He and his wife and son are pretty much established in the US. His son graduated summa cum laude in high school. They have Latin honors there, studies politics, a leadership scholar, and consistent Dean's Lister at the University of Connecticut, and plans to take up law. While studying, he is doing his internship at the Connecticut State Capitol. His wife, an APRN or nurse practitioner, earned her master's with high honors, cum laude BSN, a seventh placer in Philippine board, and law graduate. She was reviewing for the bar before moving to the US. Recently, my professor, my guest, Mr. Ed Gumbok, became controversial for his series of posts about the upcoming elections in the Philippines, and of course, the viral article on his social media account, Facebook, Lenny, or the Lenny Miracle. Welcome to Life Expression, Sir Ed.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Why are you so involved in the...
We all care. We all care about the Philippines. We all care about what's happening there. And we all care about our relatives and families and friends there. So basically, that's about it. And we wanted also to give them a perspective of how we see the Philippines from the outside. I was studying the political movements there. And so I said, I have to do something. I have to give some people the voice that they may not have because of some constraints there. I can speak here freely because I am not economically attached to anyone there.
Yeah.
And thereby, I can give people there the voice. That's basically that.
Yes. And based on your studies, your observations living in the US, having lived, of course, for so many years in the Philippines and taught philosophy, etc., what are your major observations about politics in the Philippines?
Basically, I can see there is a deficiency of hope at first. You know, people are becoming fatalistic. You would hear them saying, all of them are corrupt, all of them are liars, all of them are, they're just the same people. Mm-hmm. And then here comes the lovely lady from Bicol.
Yeah.
She's different. So that's why I said, wow, she's somebody. She's like the antithesis of what people believed politics to be that politics is dirty. And so I said, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know, I'm 50 plus, and, you know, we might not get the same opportunity again.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I'm comfortable here, but, you know, I have to do something.
Yeah, you have to do something. And you have mentioned already Lenny, and you wrote the Lenny Miracle. How did you come to write about that article and verify your facts?
Oh, it was actually a surprise for me too, because I just have, you know, not a lot of friends on Facebook. But when Lenny declared her intention to run, I noticed some movements among my friends, among people who are idealists, who wanted change too. These people are not involved in politics all the time.
Yeah.
And they were like contributing money. They were telling themselves, hey, this Lenny doesn't have money, so why don't we contribute like 500 pesos every payday? And said, wow, I mean, this hasn't happened before. This is new to me, new to the world even. Yeah. Because I thought, you know, in politics in the Philippines, it is the candidate who spends in order to get votes. But this time around, you know, it is not just contribution. It is a lot of resources being put, their time, you know, and then their skills.
Yeah.
So it's amazing for me. And then one night, you know, I was thinking about, you know, something to post. And then the next morning, I woke up, I wrote something, posted it, and voila. The article was not the controversial one. It is actually the original picture that went with it. Yeah. I posted Lenny standing, you know, beside Christ. And a lot of people were maybe not a lot, but there were people who were offended by it. And they called me blasphemer, a shame to the Catholic Church, etc. And so, well, maybe it helped the post too, because there are some influential writers in a newspaper who would criticize me for it. I received a lot of private messages telling me that I am bobo or whatever. And so, you know, it became viral.
Yeah.
And it probably also defined how the Lenny campaign worked. So,
yeah. Well, weren't you afraid? Weren't you hesitant to post that, knowing that you will be, you know, you will take a lot of flack for doing that?
I did not expect that it will take a lot of flack, because I sincerely believe that it was not blasphemous. I actually asked theologians, because I also came from the seminary, so I know a little bit about theology. And in my sincere belief, I thought that if Christ were a Filipino living in the Philippines at this time, he would probably stand with Lenny. Because for me, this is a fight between good and evil. Yeah. There is very, very clear line between the two candidates. You know, Lenny being honest, incorruptible, and all the values we want to teach our children are with her. On the other hand, there is this candidate who is, you know, clearly and proven to be a liar, proven to be a criminal, not paying his dues. So I would think, you know, that this other candidate is even spreading lies. So I would think that Christ, being a, let's say, a political figure, political uh, political person in history, who doesn't sit idly by and be neutral.
Yeah.
Christ was an activist too, and he was a reclamador during his time. And so he would probably, not probably, I'm pretty certain that Christ would side with the truth, side with somebody who is against liars. And so that's why I said, if Christ was alive, then he would side with Lenny. But of course, a lot of people did not like it. They did like to portray Lenny as, God. I did not. And so I was requested actually to take that down. Initially, I said, no, this is my freedom of speech. But I said, okay, for the sake of Lenny, for the sake of less controversy, I'll take the picture down, and that's it. And it became, people began to ask me for translations for it. And I requested, some friends who translated into several dialects. And it was actually used for campaigns. Because I think it is true. I mean, it captured the spirit of the Lenny campaign.
Yes. You think that also propelled more people to contribute and to take part in letting Lenny lead, for example, not just money, but their resources, their time and effort to show their support to their candidate?
I thought so. Because initially I thought people wouldn't mind me. But then I began to also realize that if you stand up, people, just like what Lenny said, people would stand with you. People would stand for you. People would encourage you. And so, hey, I was not so sure about my post before. And then when I made it public, I did not only focus on the negative part, the bashing, but I thought, as I said, I gave voice to people who cannot express, what they wanted to express. So I was thankful that probably I said, wow, I didn't actually realize that there is some things that I can do. I thought I could limit my involvement to, just a couple of my friends, few hundreds, some I don't know. And then now, tens of thousands are sharing what I posted, and others that I posted after that. So, yeah.
So you have series of posts sharing to the public what you know, what you stand for, and what your candidates stand for. How about the others to, shall I say, discredit you, discredit your post? What do you do about that?
Well, I do not really mind them. There are people who also just are just so offensive. Very recently, I received a private message from somebody I don't know, telling me, asking me how much money I'm making for the posts that I am doing. And I am so annoyed and irritated. I did not respond. I mean, my answer is supposed to be, hey, as I said before, I'm comfortable here. I don't need Lenny's money. And I could probably say, Lenny can afford me. Hindi ako bayad. So I just disregard them. What I know for sure is I am standing for the truth. And I'm proud of that. I am actually giving that person a better future by fighting for Lenny.
You are saying also that Lenny stands for truth. Does Lenny also stand for hope for the country?
Oh, that is the very reason why let's say I fight for Lenny. Again, I'm not fighting for Lenny, the person. I am never a Lenny loyalist. I will never be a Lenny loyalist. I will never be a Kakampinks forever. I am fighting for Lenny because she embraced the values that I value. Meaning, if Lenny fails to be honest, I will not be for Lenny. If Lenny becomes corrupt, I will criticize Lenny. And I believe that she knows that too. She's actually the person who is open to things like that.
Yeah.
I also received some messages from Lenny people. They are I'm so impressed because they're telling me, hey, never say that Lenny is God sent. Never say that Lenny is a Messiah. But I thought, but for me, Lenny is God sent. Lenny is a hope. Lenny is a source of hope for us because, like many, we've been praying every day. I mean, since I was small, in the prayers of the faithful, we always say for the government officials, etc., that they may not be corrupt. And here we are presented with a person who perfectly fits the very person we've been praying for. So I will not fault them for saying that Lenny is God sent. But I believe, my family believes, my friends believe. I talked to some of my friends, they're still praying. They believe that she was really God sent. And again, Lenny can say she's not. That's fine. Because I also thought even people who are God sent would humbly declare that they're not God sent anyway. And so,
yes,
yeah.
Go ahead, please.
So my conclusion is that yes. So hope that keeps us going. That is the basic force, the basic reason why I want myself to be involved, even in this small way. It's because I see not just little hope this time. It is the biggest hope ever that I have seen in my life in Lenny.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing too is she is fighting the biggest possibly downfall of the Filipinos, because the other side is campaigning based on lies. That is, I mean, for me, it's a no.
Yeah.
Not only lies, but they believe that lying is right. They believe that corruption is natural, is normal. Oh, and so, wow. We should always fight that this is not the norm we want. We don't want to normalize that.
Yes.
I think there was a time, probably in the history of the world or in the history of the Philippines, when integrity and truth are widely held values by politicians. That your word is your honor. And like, for example, we had an agreement that I will show up in your show at 1 o'clock. That's 1 o'clock. And if lying is normal, is the norm, it's wrong, I didn't show up, what would you say? Would you say, oh, that's okay, sir? Lying is normal. We don't like that, of course. If you have an employee who is a liar, would you promote that employee to a position of sensitive power? So if you have a student who cheats, like, I'm a teacher. During my stint at the university, I always emphasize honesty.
Yeah.
You wouldn't give that student a good grade, or I would even kick him or her out of the university. So those things we do not want to normalize. the values that we abhor,
Yeah.
values that we don't want to teach our kids. So my kid, for example, I would always drill on him, the values of honesty, the values of, if you become a politician because he wants to lead someday too, honesty is the basic foundation of society. Take away honesty, normalize lies, society would collapse.
True. Yeah. Sir, you are very passionate about what you believe in, about hope, about truth. However, surveys say that Lenny is just 16%, or now in the recent survey, she's even losing supporters according to the survey. So is there hope for her to win in the upcoming elections?
Well, what I see is contrary to what you're saying, actually. I think the momentum is there. And I even said in my post that the momentum is actually unstoppable.
Yeah.
The survey, I have great respect for scientists, for mathematicians, for statisticians. Some of the things they do, I do not understand. But I have basic knowledge of statistics and how pollings are done. But I would also say that the sorties, the massive rallies that are held for Lenny are surveys too. And while the surveys seem mysterious, the crowd that attends Lenny sorties are very, very clear that people are responsive, people are multiplying, people are passionate about the hope that Lenny is bringing to them. If you compare BBM or Marcos's campaign with that of Lenny, you can clearly see that there is enthusiasm, that there is, I cannot even say passion, it's more than passion.
Yeah.
If you and if you look at history, because I love history, this is something that has not happened in the Philippines before, and even in the whole world. The only comparison that I can give to this kind of phenomenon is when the Pope visits a place. When Pope John Paul II or Pope Francis went to the Philippines, it's because they are righteous people. What they are, let's say, they are moral forces. It is something you want to be associated with, and you want to be identified with the moral voice. So people would go and support. And also there is a Harvard researcher who studied revolutions, who studied what protest actions effect most change. And the conclusion was it's nonviolent protest actions that makes better changes. And in order to effect that, there has to be like 3.5% active participation among the population. So it's actually her. Her prime example actually was the People Power movement in the Philippines and some others. She said, if you reach the 3.5%, there is almost certain inevitability that you will succeed in changing the system. What am I trying to say here? I don't know if Lenny has reached that 3.5%. The Philippines is what, 100 something million. 3.5% would be like 300,000, 3 million, 4 million. So if there are like 4 million active participants, active, passionate participants, in Lenny's campaign, that will snowball because these 3 or 4 million are just representatives of a lot more others.
Correct.
Who are in their homes and who cannot participate,
Yeah.
who wish to participate. And these people are you can be sure that they will go to the polls because they are invested.
Yeah.
Can you imagine people in Bacolod, for example? We're from Bacolod. They go to Paglaom early, bring their food, invest their time. They will go to the polls and really vote.
Yeah.
Whereas on the other hand, in the other side, there's not much enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And in the surveys, you are not sure if they're voting.
Actually, people who answered.
Yeah.
Anyways, pardon me, but in Lenny's campaign, we have seen that people really volunteer, not just to be present in the rally, but to donate food, bring water for other people, bring placards that they made themselves, bring masks, etc. So it's a conglomeration of efforts of all volunteers. While in the other campaigns, you would see that, oh, these people perhaps might have been given something in return to attend. And why do you think so? Why this strength in volunteerism in the campaign of Lenny?
Again, there's hope. That's one. And, I began posting invitations for Lenny's rally in Bacolod. And my premise was my invitation is based on the historic nature of this campaign. I said, join because you're participating in the making of history. That gives me goosebumps because that is so true. Why history? Because Lenny might win, may not win, but we can be proud. I can be proud that when Facebook reminds me of what I did in 2022, it will remind me that I fought for something that is right. That still gives me goosebumps. And so I don't know if it had an effect, but even the company, the musical group, shared my post to invite people to join. Because can you imagine that? I mean, when people go back to this time, let's say 20 years from now, they would probably ask their parents, their grandparents, what did you do? And then they will probably say proudly that we fought for your future. We fought evil. We fought lies. And so, that may prompt others to volunteer too. And so that they can proudly say, hey, I swept the floor, I cleaned Paglaom Stadium, I helped decorate. I was so active then. That kind of feeling will be resurrected maybe in the future, win or lose. So
but we go for the win.
We go for the win. But
we do that because you want to go for the win.
Win or lose, for me, it's already a win.
Correct.
Because like I said, the 3.5% threshold, it is very impossible now to stop that momentum. If Lenny does lose, let's say they cheated, for example, or the truth will come out. The truth will come out. And then the same people will go out to the streets to protest. And more people probably will join them because you cannot stop the truth. The truth will eventually surface. And that's painful. Why wait for that truth to come out? So that and then for us to realize that we were wrong. A lot of people knew that the Marcoses are, stole money.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to say that
Yeah.
because I know for sure, based on Supreme Court decisions, based on facts. And so why would you wait when you have a chance now to prevent a disaster?
Yeah.
You have a chance with Lenny. Can you imagine? Proven track record, proven sincerity, proven honesty. This lady is a workaholic. He and you realize, Chari, that she didn't want to be in this position.
Exactly.
She's fine. Can you imagine the daughters? They're all successful.
Yeah.
Why would you sacrifice, yourself to this mess?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually feel bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
That we should even be thankful that she accepted this challenge. This is great sacrifice.
Speaking of sacrifice, Sir Ed, what are you willing to sacrifice to make sure that your choice will also be chosen by many others?
Well, I had some bashings. I had some painful criticisms. But I can even say my sacrifice is nothing. I am safe here. I feel bad, but if I am in the Philippines, probably I may not be this much open. I may not have enough courage, especially if, let's say, if you're attached to a company who supports this or that candidate.
Yeah,
it's tough. I believe I have some friends whose, let's say, whose employers are politicians and who support another candidate. I mean, they're caught in the middle. They wanted to support Lenny, but they don't want to lose their jobs. Now, I do not have to experience that. And so I said, for them, this is what I will do. Now, again, my sacrifice is I can go out and eat somewhere today. But I am making posts.
Yes.
And my posts are beautiful.
Exactly. Exactly. I was about to ask you, wow, your graphics are nice. Do you make those posts or you grab that from someone else and share it? Because, wow, I see nice posts, nice graphics, nice images.
See them anywhere else. Okay. It's because I made them myself.
Wow.
What I'm trying to say, this is what I am doing. I want to make sure that I do something different. I want to contribute. I don't want to just share things that are shared. I just don't want to reshare.
Yeah.
So since I'm here, I have to think. I am often inspired by comments.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, when before I posted that post about, hey, you want to serve, pay your taxes, I didn't expect. I thought it was a joke. I didn't expect that to be reshared like thousands of times.
Yes.
That idea came from somebody who commented on one of my posts.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, ooh, wow. So my inspiration came from the people themselves. So if I see that I could give them more audience,
yes,
I would do that. And oftentimes even my posts will come late. So it's a reaction to what we see in the news.
Yeah.
But the process sometimes can take time.
Yeah.
Because I am just using, I'm using like several apps. And then if I'm done with it, it's already like history. And so I have to make another one.
Yeah.
So to make my answer short, I make my own.
Yes.
And again, I want to contribute. So as much as possible, I want it to be original.
Yeah, that's great. Finally, Sir Ed, what would you like to tell our audience, our listeners, to let Lenny lead, or perhaps choose hope, not fear?
Oh, so my this is what I always tell myself. This is, and I always repeat this in my post. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is historic. This has never happened before. We have to take this opportunity to change the style of politics in the Philippines and even probably in the world. This is the lesson that we can teach to our children, that, if you want to be a leader, you don't have to be rich. You just have to be good. You just have to be honest. You just have to be to perform. In that way, you don't need to really spend money, because people will spend for you if they see that you are a good and promising leader. That is what we need. That is why Lenny should win, because through her example, a lot of new, better, good leaders will be inspired and surface.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sir Ed. That
Oh,
is very
thank you.
insightful. Yes. And from there, perhaps we could have a better country, a better future
Oh, yes,
for our
yes. I
children.
hope so too.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that we don't have to campaign like this again.
Yeah. Thank you once again. And I truly hope that you will continue with your posts. I enjoy them. I share them sometimes. And of course, I send them to my friends and make sure that, hey, they are also aware of the importance of making the right choice.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you once again, Sir Ed. My guest, Mr. Ed Gumbok. Remember that the first step toward change is awareness and your decision to take action. But make sure that when you make decisions, they're based on facts, they're based on the values that you would want to have for yourself and the next generation. May your choices reflect your hope, not your fears. My guest, Mr. Ed Gumbok. Thank you so much. I am Chari Hineri Elon. This is Life Expressions. If you like this episode, please share and subscribe to Life Expressions. We can also be streamed on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you get your podcasts. Till next time, here on Life Expressions. Thank you, sir.